Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about intermediate fasting. What is it, why do it, and why are we hearing about this more and more in the nutrition world, etc. But before we start, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and on the notification bell to be notified every time there's a new video about life coaching, nutrition, wellness, etc. Okay, let's begin. So, basically, intermittent fasting is a type of time-restricted feeding where you spend parts of your day, or maybe more than a day, not eating. So people do it for diet reasons to lose weight, but they also do it for health reasons. Now, obviously, if you have any significant health conditions or diseases, for instance, if you're a diabetic, you do want to check with your doctor beforehand, particularly if you have problems with hypoglycemia. If you want to do any extended fasts that are more than a day or two, definitely be medically supervised, particularly when you're starting out. Okay, so before you begin any kind of fasting, it's important that when you are eating, you're eating healthy, because if you engage in trying to do intermediate fasting, and then when you do eat, you eat a ton, or you eat unhealthy, you eat a ton of sugar, you eat white flour products, you don't balance out what you're eating properly, then when you go into fast mode, it's going to actually be harder to fast. I know of people that do intermediate fasting both with a whole food plant-based diet and also with a low carb diet. There are advocates for both diets, and I'm not going to discuss that today, but please do make sure that when you're fasting, you don't only use that, but you balance it with healthy eating and hydration as well. So how do we do this restricted eating to certain eating windows? Why do we do it? Well, here's some of the health benefits and why people are doing this more and more. The obvious is it's easy. Maybe it's not easy to not eat, but as opposed to trying to find a new way of eating to lose weight, all you do is you simply don't eat. If you're traveling, if you're in a rush in the morning to work, if you want to save more of your calories for dinner with your family, it's simple. There's a simplicity to fasting that a lot of people like, or simply if you're in a place that it's hard to get good food. Okay, if you're eating fewer meals, obviously you're going to automatically be ingesting fewer calories, so that's another benefit. Another benefit is some people find that their hormones are balanced and that it's easier to lose weight thanks to fasting. Another reason to do fasting is for digestion needs. If you're somebody that tends to have digestive issues, whether it's IBS or constipation or diarrhea, sometimes fasting can assist with this by giving your stomach more time to process the food that it has and giving it breaks in between times that it needs to work. Another big thing that people use intermittent fasting for is to regulate blood sugar. Because when you don't have food coming in, you don't have glucose coming into the blood, and then you don't have insulin being secreted as much, you also give your blood sugar levels a break. And a very big part of fasting that the medical field has known for a while and is continuing to explore and research is this concept of autophagy. Autophagy is when, in absence of food, the body begins to eat itself. In other words, it begins destroying and recycling its own damaged cells and the bits and the proteins, and it creates, often from what it recycles, brand new cells, which can be healthier cells. And this can help protect against a variety of diseases. They've been researching how it helps with cancer, how it helps with dementia, how it helps with high cholesterol, fatty liver, which is when you have fatty deposits in your liver, high blood pressure, and of course insulin resistance, which we started to address. When you are fasted and your insulin is low, and your body is able to tap into stored glucose and your body fats. So basically it can burn your stored body fat more easily, and this is another reason it's easier to lose weight if you use intermittent fasting as part of or as a beginning to whatever weight loss program you are doing. A big pioneer of the intermittent fasting movement right now is Dr. Jason Fung. If you want to learn more about this, I definitely recommend that you look at some of his videos, read some of his books, and he uses this a lot with his diabetic patients. He's out of Canada, and I think that you would really enjoy some of his stuff about this as well. So how do we do this? Well, first of all, when you're fasting, that means that you cannot intake any food. However, you can drink, and you are encouraged to drink as much as possible, to have electrolyte water, to have water, to drink any non-caloric drink possible. So coffee and tea, and people find that actually drinking coffees and teas tends to make the fast easier for them because they get that little joint of caffeine, they get a little flavor in their mouth. You will hear of certain people doing things like a bulletproof coffee or fat beverages during their fast, and that's because fat has the smallest impact on our insulin. However, insulin is so sensitive that any type of caloric beverage can affect your fast. So, if you have to have some kind of fat in your coffee or your tea in order to make it through the fast, then all by do it, because if it will help you fast as opposed to not fasting at all, go for it. But at the same time, you do want to be mindful to use very small amounts. You do hear some YouTubers using, hordes of cream and oil and butter in their coffee, and that can impact your insulin, so do beware. Okay, so the easiest way to start out is simply to realize that we all fast normally, and we fast overnight when we're sleeping, and that's why the first meal of the day is called breakfast, because it actually comes from the idea of breaking your fast, break fast, because we fast while we're sleeping. So the easiest way to extend your fast is to either not eat for a couple of hours before you go to bed, or not eat for a couple of hours when you wake up in the morning. So if you're a person that feels like you still need those 3 meals a day, what you can do is fit them into a smaller window of eating. So for instance, you could have an 8-hour window of eating or a 10-hour window of eating, and once that window is up, you stop eating. So it also creates a certain boundary in your mind so that you're not mindlessly eating or eating all day long. And I know this might sound a little strange because in recent years there was a fad, it was popular, nutritionists, dietitians were advocating for small meals, even for people who had blood sugar issues, to snack a lot. But a lot of research has emerged now that might not be so good for everyone. And again, there may be some people that eating the 3 meals a day and 2 snacks works better for them. They're less hangry. Fasting is torture for them, and if this just really doesn't resonate with you, don't try it. But if it is something that you want to try, that's why I'm giving you these tips. So now that you've tried extending the hours that you fast, either by eating earlier at night or later in the morning, the next step that you can try is either skipping your dinner altogether or skipping your breakfast altogether. And usually you'll know what would resonate with you more. Some of us are morning people. Some of us love to eat late at night. Some of us hate breakfast. We've never liked it. Even as a kid, we felt forced by our parents. So see what kind of resonates with you naturally, what your body naturally falls into and enjoys. If you are a person that really doesn't like eating breakfast, then it might be real easy for you to fall into an intermittent fasting program where you have, let's say, your dinner at 7 or 8 because you tend to be a later dinner eater. You like to eat with your family or your partner or friends, whatever. And in the morning when you wake up, you simply don't eat, and you see how far you can go. Perhaps eating at 12 works well for you. Or perhaps getting up, having that coffee is perfect for you. A black coffee if you can do it. If you can't, a non-caloric sweetener like a stevia, a teaspoon of cream or half and half. Trying that out and seeing how that works for you. Or a nut milk as well. On the flip side, you actually never enjoyed eating dinners. You feel heavy when you eat at night. You digest poorly. You don't sleep well. Try skipping dinner. See if that works better for you. Or try, moving your dinners to an early dinner at 5. That's how you're going to slowly work your way. Now, the next phase, and there's so many different types of intermittent fasting. I encourage you to look them up, and they all have different kinds of names. But so the next one that I'm going to tell you that you can move on to is called the OMAD. There's also other types like the Warrior, and that's why I say play with it, look it up. But the OMAD would be where you just have one meal a day. A lot of people use this. Let's say they just have lunch, and that works for them. The one meal a day enables them to eat until they feel full, to feel satisfied, and then just knowing that they only have this one meal a day really works for their particular digestion. And then there are people that even take the intermittent fasting concept even farther, that they fast for 24, 48 hours. There are even fasts up to 3 and 4 days. But once you're passing the 1 day mark, most of us have fasted for a day, whether it's for just trying it one time, whether in your religion there's fasts, whether in your culture there's fasts. Most of us know that we're capable of doing a day of fasting without too many difficulties. Sometimes you might get a headache, you might feel dehydrated. So I would say if you're going more than a day, that's when you want to look into a medical professional or a dietitian that can help you, assist you with the fast. And that's because there's things that you're going to want to monitor, like your electrolytes, etc. You can take a multivitamin when you're fasting. Some people like this, but a lot of the big medical professionals don't think it's necessarily needed if you are eating properly. So again, that's something that you would need to see what works with yourself. So please go ahead and share. Have you ever done a fast? Do you do intermittent fasting or time restricted eating? Go ahead and put in the comment section any tips that you can share about what makes it easier for you in terms of, do you do a low carb diet? Do you do a whole foods plant-based diet with fasting? What have you found works better? Has it helped your weight loss? So that we can all learn from each other. Don't forget to subscribe, and wishing you a blessed day.